I wanted to talk about this because we have a lot more information on this. Which I already actually knew all this information, but I was quite baffled by this information, which I still have. So if any agency, like any media, want to see some emails, yeah, depends who you are. This is what I was saying when I was talking to the media, even regardless. So I'm a victim of some serious, horrific sex crimes, okay? And one of them being with that piece of shit we've been talking about. So they have a long history with kids. There's a whole thing with that. So, anyways, but there's some additional crimes up in here. So during that period, there was some human trafficking attempts on me as a kid, some additionals. And so the agents were informed by these different various events with different individuals. Um, and what was happening is the very first report I made was actually on someone else, right? Because it was something I witnessed. So, um, but there was a tail off because it's like, in order for me to see that, I have to be a victim myself in order to be in that situation because I'm not from LA, right? So they didn't get into all of that. What they wanted to know is if that individual did something to me, and that. And that was the only one that they were really all into. Because you know why? Because there's a man of color in it, right? So they're racist, okay, at the hotline, okay? Big time. It was an agent that called me. I'm going to see if I can obtain some information because since I gave people information and I was interviewed and got a lot of information out of me for telling on a lot of these people, I deserve a right to know why there was no arrest made and why there was no bust made on a certain major human trafficking ring that was going on in LA, and it still is going on in LA and outside the country. Actually, it's a different thing. So that came later. So then I called and actually gave them the information and the names to those individuals. And so there's a lot of them actually. And I didn't know all the full names of every single piece of shit in this ring. But there's other victims. So the victims I mean, so far there's a couple or, few that would come forward right now. But all in all, this is a really bad thing, and that was going on for years, and it's in the media, so there's nothing to debate, and they tried to pay me off with $600, so there's a lot of backing to the bullshit of that ring, okay? So those two individuals are still on Instagram. I find this atrocious that real human traffickers are literally on those platforms. Everybody knows about these other musicians who have been with children. That is a human trafficking ring. Of calling baby groupies is a human trafficking ring. There's no debate about it. It is government's responsibility to break up the ring. It's not up to little children to get out of the ring because they can't consent. And they're groomed and everything else. And so even at that time period, that was not legal. So what the fuck? Yeah, and then they started doing this whole glorification of child human trafficking rings to rape them. And then what happens? My daddy gave me to that ring, right? So that's why I talk about it. So I give a shit less what they're saying about it. These older Karens going on about it. There is no consent in that shit. And so that team came after me for many years. So we're not even going to be playing that fucking shit game. Government obtained that information, and so they need to be fucking open as to why they try to bounce it and not do shit about it. So they need to be open to the public. Oh, why they want to sit there and allow real human trafficking rings to go on and pull some bullshit like this. Because I'll tell you this, there was government agents that were hanging out on Backpage the whole fucking time, looking for girls, wanting to play, wanting to do all this shit. And one of them came to me and started sending me links. This is what pissed me off. Somebody sent me a link because somebody was pretending to be me. I think it's another agent, but because they're a bunch of assholes, because they pretend to be everybody, right? They'll pretend to be a homeless person and befriend you. They're pieces of shit. My daddy had to hire people to do shit like this, so I'm not really that dumb about it, but they're hard to figure out sometimes. But this person didn't really seem to give a fuck about hiding his identity too much. He didn't say much, other than, I'm coming in and flying in from Virginia every once in a while, let's go hang out. They were trying to act like they were in our community. And I know a lot of people in the community. Some were cops, right? We talked about the cops being up in here, right? They were no good. They're no good. And then they did harm to me, right? So then those things were reported. Why was there no arrest? Exactly, right? So they've been doing a big cover up, and they want to cover up for their government fucking pedophilia because they're the ones that got me raped, right? That was the whole thing. That was the whole thing from the start. I go, they've been sexually harassing me and bullying me since a child. And at no time can I stop it. I keep telling people they think it's a joke and there's nothing funny about it. So if I'm sitting there talking to agents, giving them information on these rings, giving information on these people, and what do? They don't arrest those people. They start sexually harassing me. And then they're hanging out on here. They're hanging out on Backpage, dude. I can prove it from 2011 and 12. The agents were up in here just hanging out on there trying to get girls and shit like that. Okay, so they're going to probably take a stand, or they're going to try to, and I'm going to tell you, don't believe the fucking shit that they tell you. They might sit there and go, oh, we were doing that to investigate. No, you weren't doing that. You were not doing that at all, fuckers. So then they try to ask me to go meet them at a hotel, and I'm like, excuse me? They didn't ask for they didn't do that, but they were trying to have me just while they came into town to go meet him at this hotel. I was like, fuck no. The guy didn't know that I knew his background. So I was like, yeah, I can see a bug happening here, and they're going to try to do some weird shit. Like, I don't even know why he's asking for that. Like, really, it was like, that didn't make any sense to nothing, okay? And I would never set myself up like that, because, like, maybe the guy wants to rape me. Like, I really don't know. Like, that wasn't cool at all. But he had, like, a legitimate reason to even go there anyway, because he was flying in from out of town, because he wasn't from here, right? So, I said no. And then at that point, then he breaks my chair in my house. I was like, there's a stupid thing about it. So then he starts trying to be cheap about it and not wanting to pay for my new chair. And then so we get in this thing about it. Anyway, so I didn't want to see, like, I didn't even want to meet up with him anymore. Like, just even hang out and talk. Because I'm like, dude, what the fuck? And so, anyway, but he was sending me links and saying somebody was impersonating. Well, he didn't say impersonating me. He was trying, it was weird. It was totally fucking weird, because I'm trying to figure this out, because it was like, oh, this person, you know, something, and I looked at it, and I go, they're using my name, dude. What is this shit? And then using my information, and I'm like, oh, dude, what? And he's like, oh, I didn't even associate it with you, because it said something different on it, like just one other thing. And I was like, no, but that's my information, and that's my email, and that's my website. But I got rid of it because of there was impersonating going on. Something was going on right here. So I was like, you know what? Instead of even combating it, because it's so bad right now, I'm just going to change all my info. But they didn't own the website, so it was weird that they used it, because I'm like, well, nobody can email to them because they don't own it. So I don't understand how they're getting a response on that, right? Because you're like, so apparently maybe just through maybe you could just email through the ad thing itself. But anyway, yeah, so he's the one that was hanging out all on there and doing that. Then I got another one in the middle. I could swear it happened after I called FBI or right before. But at some point here, some guy was sending all this stuff and then demanding that he wanted this, just this bullshit, right? And he sent me this email going full stupid, like just some stupid ass shit. You remind me of Angelina Jolie. And I'm just like, okay, I've worked with her. I look nothing like her, but that's a compliment, but that's fucking weird. And then he's like, I went out on the yacht, and I was dreaming of you on my yacht, and I'm like, what the fuck? That I do not get emails like that. Like, okay, so it's like fucking his dude going all fucking nuts, right? So I was like, I'm gonna check up on this guy, because that sounds really fucking weird. Like, there was something about it, like he was sending other stuff, right? And I was like, so I go look, and then it pulled up that he's this like from this like we bust women unit for cops. Like I'm like, I don't know what it's like, because you know how they have the drug ones, the like the narc units, right? So this one was to bust women on the street. Like, it was a crazy thing, but this guy should be busted, right? Like, he's doing He's doing kind of like what I saw. Anyway, I was like, fuck this guy. This guy's a piece of shit. Like, and then what was crazy about it is that they were doing a big investigation in San Francisco at that time because they were all being corrupt and they like raped that one kid a million times over there. And I was like, dude, they're gonna get this guy right in the middle of this, and then I'm gonna get questioned about it because he's like talking to me. That's what I was thinking. And then nothing. Like they didn't do anything. And so I'm just like, okay, I got all these like guys are all in government and they're fucking around up in here. And at the same time, I'm reporting to government like the bad shit. And they were putting me like in this weird position to where like I felt like I couldn't say anything really. And then I thought I was going to get totally questioned, mostly on that other one with the Homeland thing. Cause I was like, dude, what the fuck is that? So, yeah, cause the dude was like, in the fucking media and they were talking about his robot and I was like the dude does these robot things, so like I was like, oh my god. um so, and I was thinking about it because I was like, well, I don't think they're thinking I'm a terrorist because what the fuck. So I mean, this is before like I'm out here being vocal about everything. No, I was like literally reporting on all the human trafficking rings before it even became a thing in the media, okay? They were not really going on a human trafficking ring, fucking nothing. I had reported stuff way beyond in 2001. Then there was cover-ups there, obviously. Then I went to try to report on the cop thing, and then there was cover-ups there, obviously. Then I knew about the cop gangs, and so then I was trying to report on that, obviously. And there was like a lot of stuff, and then there's a long list of stuff. So the thing that looks shady as hell is this backpage thing. And like I said, they had some serious government people on here, like where they would want to cover it up, right? Like literally want to cover it up, right? So I'm sitting here thinking, going, what happened in here? Like there's some other bullshit going on, because to tell me that these fools that were hanging out on there from big government over there would sit there and be investigating it since 2011. I mean, typically, if you guys know, like sometimes the general investigation, like when they're just doing a really cheap ass fucking we really didn't do shit one, is like a year, and they didn't do shit on it anyway. But I don't like, it's questionable. Like I don't know what they try to claim on here, but I'm telling you, the guy that was doing all that, it was not for investigative purposes. That's why I was like, are they trying to cover for those people? Because if so, I still have all their information. So it's not like I can't back what I'm saying, because that would be pretty fucking like, what the hell? Um, Except for I don't know where that page is where they were in the media, but I don't want to throw them up right now because that actually can be very relevant to some stuff here. So I'm just saying it exists and it happened. And what's curious about it is them making me homeless, like after the fact, and having them sit there and watch people do harm to me and do all this shit when I'm an actual victim to multiple crimes. It's not one sex crime, but multiple sex crimes. And to have that many people after you or doing things like that, and they were also involved in government where they did not protect me or my safety. Like they're supposed to protect my safety so I don't get murdered or killed because I had threats and all these things, right? So they didn't do that, and then they just sat back and jerked off to it and then started hitting on me throughout this whole thing, right? Because that's what happened. There wasn't a thing where they're like, we're going to go make arrests or we're having problems with it. Nothing. They just have kept obtaining information and writing it down. So every time I would call, and then the agency would like write down all that information and they would put it, I'm assuming, in a file, and then they probably threw it in the trash. I don't know what the fuck happened, but I'm furious that I was working with them for years and years and years, sifting that information to them when I was able to, right? Because all that information is kind of, you have to kind of sit through it and see what's relevant to what to give them. It's not like you just think about it and just start telling them a story. So, and some of the information was kind of, it was hard to talk about too, on top of it, so going through that. So I was sifting information to them for that whole time. And so, yeah, so that's very shady as fuck that I would be the injured party when they know I'm a major victim in the cases, and then there was no arrest. That is the thing about it, because there's multiple people, okay? It's not like, if they sit there and go, oh, we can't arrest that guy, we can't arrest that guy, but, sure as hell can arrest these people. They made zero arrests. And then one of the cases, they tried to bounce it back to me to tell me to go elsewhere when it definitely is part of this, because it's all tied together, because that's how these happened, right? The other incidents. And so I was like, oh, they're protecting their own house. And so as I was going on and doing these reports, they kept telling me like, oh yeah, there's like a conflict of interest because, we work with government, and then the people that are in this aren't government, right? So, so that's why I'm looking at this going, what are you really hiding here, government? You're the ones that were running the human trafficking ring here locally in the hostess clubs. You were the guys that were watching over it. So, and you were involved in it, and you guys got arrested in it. Or I shouldn't say arrested. You let them kill a co-worker and sat there and let them take money from all the workers there, one of your federal workers, right? And so then they just covered it up. They're just like, we're going to like not really arrest you for that. We're going to have you just be a narc for us. Really? They turned him into a narc to like narc on themselves. Like, does that make sense, guys? So they never got in trouble. They just protected their own house. That's all they did. Right in front of your faces. It's insane. So then, so they're harming me, right? So why are they harming me? And I told you guys, I must know a lot of information that they're freaked the fuck out about. But you have to kind of know, like, what is it that they're freaking out about? They're all a bunch of pedo perverts. So doesn't the public know this? If you don't know this, then you're fucking living under a rock. But they're a bunch of pedo fucking rapists, and they'll get you fucking raped and watch that shit. So, and they'll cover it up, like, big time. So, I loved FBI's shock about it. This guy on the phone, he's like, they watched you? Like, he's trying to set me up or something like that. He's like, they watched you? And I'm like, they sure as hell did, dickwad. And then they're hanging up the phone, they're doing this shit. I'm like, wow, you should tell the public how you actually treat victims there. And you were really treating me well. Every single one of them did that on this day. Like it was a setup. Like, cause I talked to them before. They've never done that. So they were like, slam, slam, slam. I called again, slam, slam, doing that. Why are they doing that? You need to ask that question. Why are they doing that? Cause they're fucking deep shit. No. I got harmed in it, so people are going to be like on the defense of like, we need to legally protect ourselves. Yeah. So if you tell me to go do something and I go do it and then I end up in the street and left in a fire, then somebody's going to be in trouble up in here. And nobody protected me in it. So they knew the situation. So they didn't protect me from these criminal pieces of shit. And then the cops in the middle of this explain that, yes, they are gang members. I'm like, thank you. So you assholes. So that's actually backed up. And those are the people that were targeting me the whole time. They're all gang members. There's a bunch of LAPD gang members. So they didn't even get into the LAPD portion yet. So, and they're together. That's another thing. So then this thing, that's what I'm saying. There's some bullshit here. Because at no time when I talked to the agents, did I ever say anything about Backpage? Like nothing, like zero. It wouldn't have anything because the businesses that I knew or that we worked at or wherever, there's a lot of people that use this site as to promote their businesses or whatever the bullshit is to send people over to their work, right? All legal, legal shit because bullshit, locally in the I forgot what else was in that thing. Wasn't there like acting things in that? Like there was like a whole bunch of stuff in there. And anyway, so a whole bunch of normal people be on there. And then they were trying to act like there's this massive underground human trafficking thing going on in it. And then they perverted what human trafficking is, which just blew my mind. I'm like, I'm the queen of the knowledge of what fucking human trafficking is. Like I literally know what it is. And government wants to argue with me the definition of that. Yet, when you read government's definition, when you read it, it's exactly what I'm saying. But when you talk to them in person, that is not their definition of it. Their definition of it is some consensual person wanting to have sex with somebody. That's not human trafficking. So human trafficking is in the hostess club. Exactly. Where, okay, they put it so exactly like this. They put an ad out, right? And so you think, oh, this is the job, right? So then you go to the job and they tell you it's only this. There's no sex, no nudity, nothing. All you do is like sing songs. They told you to sing songs, karaoke, dude, karaoke, and then um chalk or whatever like that, you know? And then that's it. There was no alcohol actually involved in the original thing. And then they said you can get paid up to, I don't know what it was. It was like 700 a week or something. They gave this like mind blowing, like fucking pay back then, way, way back in the day. So then you go. And then when you went, um, I swear when I went, they must have just got busted because there was literally nothing going on. It was like literally as the ad said. So I was kind of like, okay, I was like, how did I never find this before? I wish I knew about this earlier because this is a cool job because you could sit there and just work in the nighttime and then I can go work in television on whatever days I wanted to. It was so flexible like that, right? So I was like, okay. So then I was going and then I don't know, it just started kind of getting bad. But not like in that way yet. But just like money wise, like, you know, I don't know, there was something weird going on, but I don't know exactly what's going on yet. So then we went to a new job in that arena, right? In that same thing. And this is when the shit started up. So yeah, they were trying to set us up with people, but it was hard to tell that they were set up. Like the thing was kind of like iffy and you know, like some strange shit going on. And yeah. And so then all of a sudden, like, then it became a thing where they were just raping your ass. Like, you're like sitting there talking, and all of a sudden they just grab you. And I'm like, no way. And so then they started doing these things, and then come to find out, it was like the owners, like, telling the guy, like, they were taking money under the table, and they were telling the guy, like, you go try her. And then, so then the guys would try to rape us all there, like, at the place. And so you're thinking, oh, it's just the guy doing it on his own. No, no, the owners were doing that. And then because they were taking money from him too on the side, right? And so then, yeah, and then I started getting this fucking music guy coming to me. I talked about that, and they tried to set me up. I'm like, I'm already in the industry, dude. These guys didn't even know that, right? So I was like, I don't know, Latino. Oh my god, what if it was Menudo? Like, I don't know. I don't know who it was. I forgot the name. I don't even know if he told me the name of the record release party, but it was somewhere around 98. It had to be 98. I keep thinking it's 98. Yeah, 98. Okay, 98, there was a Latino record release party in, for some reason, I'm thinking in Orange County. But this is the information I'm going off of. Like, I could be a little bit wrong on the Orange County thing, but for some reason, I keep thinking Orange County. But yeah, there was a record release party, and that's where they wanted me to show up. But they were going to do some shit, dude, you guys. So then, yeah, then when I refused to go after, you know, that bullshit, yeah, then they told me that they were going to fire me because I wouldn't do that to anybody. And I'm like, excuse me? And then they made it clear that that's the reason why. And I'm like, okay, so we know we got a ring here. Some shit. And this is really bad. I cannot believe anybody said that to my fucking face. So then I went to a new place. And then that place apparently got some people really harmed. And yeah, some really bad things going on there, and that's another portion of this ring. And then I went back to this other place, and then that's the one that was next door to the Harvey Weinstein movie thing. And those people went up in there. We don't know which people yet, but yeah, some their people went up in there. And then later they come up to me, and those are the two human traffickers that are literally on Instagram right now. Um, and they go, "Oh, we got a new place for you that we believe that you'll like a lot better." Blah 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 blah. Oh, oh man. So then they send me 2 hours away. I was like, to this other place that is basically overran by the gang member LAPD. I mean, the LASD, the sheriffs, right? And the first day I got there, they were trying some bullshit. Like they had this lady. Yeah, they were asking me what am I doing after work. I'm like, oh fuck no. Yeah, so then I don't know, but then the owner like got her to stop or something, and then yeah, so then they went back and everything, and then she didn't try that again, but then it turned into some other shit, right? That whole other thing, and then the cops are raping all the girls around the area. And I'm like, what the fuck? So finally, I go and I filed a report. And then in the middle of that, one of the girls got raped. And then they went and fought the cop. And then they hid it, right? There's a whole hide and seek there. So, yes, that had major validity because then later they tried to pay me off with $600. And again, people are like, why'd you accept the check? I was like, I didn't actually know that it was from, I didn't know it was a full labor board check. You guys don't understand. When I went, I wasn't even supposed to go back to that job because it was so dangerous. But somehow there was a talking to, because my friend, I don't know, my friend Mel at the time, I think maybe she wanted to go there. Like there was some, I don't know the situation right now because it's been so long. But somehow we went together. And maybe because I felt comfortable because my friend was going to be there too. I was like, well, I guess we can go back on the side because our other job was slow maybe. Like there was something going on right here that I don't remember what happened. So then when we went, I was working and they called me and they're like, "Oh, you know you have a check here." And I was like, "That's weird. I don't know why. Like that didn't make any sense." I was like, "I don't know if it's because when I left I had money left over. I don't know. I didn't even know." So they gave me a check and then the only thing that was different on the check, I think it said something like to me, but then something labor board, but you had to look for it. Like it just didn't make any sense. Like it was a normal check like they gave me, but then it had some weird other notation on it. So then when I cashed it, I was like thinking, okay, I guess I should be getting more money than that. Because when I signed the paperwork to the labor board, no way in hell was there $600 nothing. It had it had thousands and thousands of dollar thing on it, and then it's a plus or something. At no time did I say 600. I would never accept $600 because the complaint that I was making, the amount of money that was owed to me was probably in the you would for what happened here, definitely in the five figures. But I don't know if they would have done five figures. But no way in hell 600. That doesn't make sense. You guys, what they were trying to say is that they ignored everything that I wrote, and then they lied and just said I complained only about lunches. Okay, I'm gonna say this. I have the proof that that's not what happened. But but let's just say they did that for lunches. Okay, well I worked there for 2 years, and they didn't let me have a lunch. Do you think $600 really covers that? No. So that didn't make any fucking sense. So they were trying to do this bullshit with me, never told me that the check was there. So basically, you guys, if I didn't even go walking back into that building, I wouldn't even have had that. Because they didn't tell me. I'm the one that filed the paperwork. So then they got a call from me. They admitted to a leak. They said that that leak could happen. If we told you it couldn't, then, you know, someone lied to you, girl. I'm like, okay, this is it. So I knew there was a leak because when I went back over there, at this point is when the security guard came up to me and he's like, "Oh yeah, they all got fired. All those sheriff guys got fired." And I'm like, "Wow. Oh good, I don't have to file that report." So yeah, from all the information I, saw and what I experienced. So yeah, that's what I said. Government has it out to fucking murder me, dude, because the information that I have is better than any fucking plant that they could ever dream up. Okay, so we have this going on here. Then we also have this bigger government shit frolicking on backpage thing here, right? Because they're a bunch of pedo perverts, so rapists. So they're over there doing that. Then these other cops are hanging out online, you know, flirting back and forth with girls, doing that shit. They were doing that. So I'm in the middle, like actually complying and giving all this information to gut. Like I'm talking to agents. I'm trying to report stuff. I'm doing all this, but then yet, what happened? Exactly. So that tells you exactly who your piece of shit pedo fucking rapist government is. They're a piece of crap and they can sit on my fucking middle finger. So that's what they did. They just obtained information going, what does she actually know? Let's see what she knows. Okay, we're going to cover it up and we're going to try to knock her out. Yeah. Uh-huh. Because then when I came back, what happened? This is the thing. You have to look at what happened here. So when I came back, I actually started posting what they did. And when I started posting what they did, they started attacking me and trying to mute me. Now, mind you, I've been on these platforms that at least for 10 years at that point from that time period. They started muting me when I said I called FBI. This happened here. This happened here. The Eric Garcetti thing. So I started talking about that, right? Because it was all related to this inner housing thing, right? And so they started muting me and they got me fucking suspended for no reason. No, there was no reason. I actually took screenshots and they were all bullshit. Like there was no thing to it. And then they went and targeted my work. The work thing, I have to talk about the work thing because I said that they went after my work account. But prior to that, what did they do? So they started cutting off my streams of income through the company I was getting paid from. Oh, this is evil stuff, you guys. And I was all confused and I was telling my friend, I was like, is it me? Like, I've been running my business for like 20 years, you know? I mean, at that point, it was like, I don't know, 15 years or so. And I'm sitting there going, I honestly don't even understand what's going on. So what was happening is government was swooping in and they were targeting. I would like to say they were, I mean, I could kind of prove that they were possibly just targeting me specifically, even though it looks like an umbrella thing because of the lawyer thing that I reported on, right? So I had to report on a lawyer for propositioning me over a thing, right? So what does men typically do? What do male supremacists usually do? Okay, so what happens when like some guy tries to touch you and everything? Then the men make you cover up, right? They don't blame themselves for doing the shit they harm women, right? So in this situation, they're like, we're not going to do nothing to the lawyer, but we're going to like punish you and you can never do that again. I'm like, what? They're the ones that preyed on me to want me to do that for payment for my fucking entertainment lawyer. Like, no. The guy should have went to jail, like, hello, or got busted, at least in some fashion, right? Instead what they did was they went to my work, through not my work, because I own my job. You know what I mean? They went to the company that pays me or pays through me, right? That whole thing, and made a threat that if they allow me to do this, then they will cut off all their money. So they were making threats. And they're lawyered up. That company that pays through, they're lawyered up. So I was like, that shit's fucking nuts. So they were doing this in the background. And I was like, this is absolutely insane. So fuck KKK Kamala. Kamala's a fucking piece of shit. So she's the one that starts sending this shit out. Like they're all fakes, dude. They're not into stopping no shit. Because if you were, you wouldn't do this kind of shit. I will tell you. Because I'm the one that's like trying to stop this stuff, right? Like legitimately. And I was like, there's no way in hell I would go target women's income or their work or a female just generally, unless that female was doing harm to other women or others, right? Like that type of thing. Like, because there's some madam up in here that need to go to fucking prison. But in general, like the circle of people are a bunch of men. They're a bunch of rich men. They're businessmen. They're government men from here in the country to also different other countries, right? So they're fueling in income into LA County. So they're making billions of dollars and they want their business here, right? So government been running this ring to keep that shit going and using women as their gift to these men. Yes, they're disgusting. But the women didn't know. That's the thing about it. I was like, this is so shitty, dude. They were letting them just do all these horrible things to the women. And so they've been trying to cover that up. So yeah, big government hanging out on Backpage is really an important thing to know. So I'm like, I don't know. There's some bullshit up in here what they're trying to do. It says this, shuttering Backpage was the main reason advocates and lawmakers cited for passing and allowing the Victims to Fight Online Sex Trafficking Act, or FOSTA, right? That whole thing. Um, and it was signed into law by Donald Trump. Now, I told you guys, Donald Trump and Alice have a thing together. And when I was dealing with their camp, I ran across Donald Trump's ex-girlfriend that I didn't know she was. And I don't think any of my followers did either because everybody knew her, I think, maybe as Janie's wife, and I didn't know any of this. And apparently, like when they were on tour, okay, so she came in with Janie. Thought this was absolutely hilarious, and I just remembered the whole thing, but I didn't realize that that was her, and this was that, this whole thing. And then like they had this relationship because he would go and play at his Trump Marina, right? And I didn't travel that far with these guys. I would not. I don't fly, dude. Fuck that. So luckily I don't fly. I'm actually thankful for the phobia because this could have turned out even worse. I mean, it's already bad, you guys. It's really bad. But the Trump portions in the story, luckily, are not part of mine, other than his ex girlfriend is kind of the witness in our stuff, right? But trust that woman. That woman's a piece of shit. She was like, um, dude, she was like covering up for Donald. And then the other portion of this was, it was really weird that prior to Janie dying, Janie was drunk as shit, but they both like went off in a car drunk. And then, so obviously people are probably enabling each other here, that kind of thing. So I don't really, that whole thing right there, like they're not, you call them, they're not reliable witnesses, like that thing. I probably have a better memory of everybody else versus that, okay? Because they came in and ate off of the platter, the cheese platter in the tent. Among other situations, yeah, because they were on tour. I went to three. I was at three of the shows with them. Yeah, so three. That's what I'm saying. I go when they brought up the Trump thing. I was surprised they didn't get more interested in this thing because we already knew on this side of the camp, outside of that thing, that this side of people are into kids. So they had that ring, right? That's a legitimate ring. Like that's the one where they have all the pictures of the kids on their laps and shit. And the rock stars that were involved in that, right? So then on the side of that, there's Donald. Like they're all in this business circle. And that's why I said, I go, when I started running into these people, I was like, these are not even music people. Like, I don't know who they are. I don't recall Trump ever, but fuck if I know, because people are popping up and I'm like, oh, I may have met them. I don't remember. Like, it's going on like that. Um, but then, if you go further, then you see the Jeffrey Epstein thing, like, further out. Like, now I don't know. I don't, that one, that one, when I was thinking about it, I was like, the only time that maybe if there was even anything with that was when I was going to the acting and modeling school where one of the agencies there, I think, was involved in harming some of the girl. I don't know. There's a whole thing with that. Why are they covering it up? It's not anything to do about nobody believes anything because it's very hard proof that these things happened, okay? Because even the paparazzi has fucking pictures of me around these people. So, and there actually may be more paparazzi pictures of me around these people because the paparazzi, at least some of the magazine people, were present when I was brought back, right? Multiple times. So these are the things that we're looking for just for addition. I mean, I could prove that I was there. That's the other thing about it. So it doesn't even need to have that, but it's just showing the, just additions, because the more additions that you have, the better it is for the damn ridiculous public to like fucking go with it. Because I literally showed the each specific thing where they gave me those passes, right? So those are things that only the team can do, unless or some side things where somebody gave it to you or you could win a contest. But none of those were contests won. None of those were handed to me from any other individual. And they were for years. So it's showing you that we had a relationship, right, of some sort, right? Business or otherwise, right? It's showing that. And then they have pictures of me with them in 91, like in the background on being in town, because when I came into town, there was a meeting. And so that was right prior to the meeting. And so the paparazzi, that's all it was. Like that fool called the paparazzi and told them to come. Because the only thing that was going on here was nothing. I'm like, there was nothing going on. Like I walked up and there was like maybe a handful of people that looked, that was it. Like, there was no other fans. There was not a lot of people. And the rest of the people that were there was paparazzi. And I'm like, this is just a setup, man, because they just did a stunt. Because he was known for stunts. Like, the whole thing was doing stunts back then. Howard Stern did stunts. They all did these stunts. And so the stunt, you go do your thing. You call the media. They fucking show up and you go do your bullshit and then you leave. And then it makes it look like all these people came. But the truth was that hardly anybody was there. And for me, when I came into town, I was kind of like, oh, I wonder why they didn't tell me about this. Because I was supposed to meet them like the next day or something. And then I found out about it and I was like, well, I'll just go stroll on over there and check it out. It was totally like that. And so lucky me, they took this photo and I'm a kid, so there's no adult there, right? You see, there's no adult there. I'm there, blah, blah. And then I take photos of it too myself. So there's multiple people that can vouch for this, right? So I'm like, this is crazy. So then the next day I go meet them and then all the horrible things happen, right? So you're getting into that. So those are the things that we were reporting on. So they did these things and then you cannot make legal anything with the child. Okay. So, verbal or even on contract, either one of those things, you cannot do business with the child without an adult present, right? Why is this going on? I have no idea. I'm a kid, so I don't know the laws. And I'm just like, this whole thing. So they tell me to go do all this stuff. Then my dad sets it up. Then it went from there. But then those things caused me to get raped, right? So it's not legal. The state is liable to have me be protected, okay? Like, you can't just dump your kids off with a bunch of pedophiles. That's just not it. And if they do that, and then a officer talks to you, at that point, then they need to rescue you, okay? Not sit there and try to get you raped or any other bullshit. So that did not occur, and we could prove that we had these multiple interactions with police officers. That's the other portion of that. So, yes, and so there was no reasonable reason for the agents to ignore any of those portions. None whatsoever. So then there was, there's so many. I've already talked about a lot of these. But there's additions with that ring thing that is extraordinarily serious, and it's really unfortunate, and all the women are owed thousands, and it's a multi-million-dollar suit. Even just with the stuff that happened to me, like, it's a multi-million-dollar suit just for me going after it. I could sit there and try to go after 10, okay? It's that bad. The thing is that there's so many women that are victims in that it is a gigantuous case. It wasn't like the secondary case when they got sued, because one of the traffickers in here got sued. So they got sued, and for lesser things, which I think they may or should have been in trouble for worse things, right? But they lost $6 million to a handful of like 20 girls, right? And that case did not involve human trafficking. It actually involved in him not paying or taking money from them. And that was an addition in our stuff too, right? Where they didn't want to pay anybody. Yeah, that was an addition. But yeah, so they were losing millions of dollars just on that. So that is showing you the level of severity of what's going on here. So in addition to that, when I was talking to their lawyer about this, I told him, I had to report this son of a bitch, And so he keeps getting off. Why is he getting off? Oh, he's pals with the gang member sheriffs. Keep that in mind. That's the addition. So he's friends with the gang member sheriffs, okay? So this is where all these leaks are apparently coming around. So, yeah, so here's the thing. If you get busted for running a business, for harming women, do you think you should still be able to run those type of businesses? Absolutely not. But anyway, they ignored the human trafficking part. Now, when they went to sue them, it could mean that nobody really wanted to talk about that portion, or, I have a hard time thinking that wasn't going on there too, because if they were doing it here, why wouldn't they be doing it at that particular job? It's a different business, but they have the similar things going on. Why would that be not in it, right? And only over here? Yeah, there was a lot of different things going on, but what he did was he would partner up with other businessmen, like rich businessmen, and they opened up these businesses. So he went off from the other two human traffickers, and so they had a thing together, right? Then they opened up this thing. I don't know who was all involved in opening up this company. Then he got involved with another guy, opened up another company. Then they opened up another business down the street. So they had like one, two, three, and then I don't know if they're involved in the other company over there, but they have some weird business tied together, all of them in this group. And so they were just going boom, 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 doing this bullshit. And then the guy ends up having $20 million a year. I'm like, this is bullshit. This is like bullshit. I have never, this right here. How is he getting that much money though? Because the business, if you sat there and watched this business, there really shouldn't be much in here that would allow you to make that much, really. Other than he told me that he charged $1,000 membership fee for these people all over the place. And I go, for what though? Membership for what? There's no any special nothing here, right? So he was doing some bullshit like that. I go, pretty much most of the stuff they did was shady as fuck. So they didn't even get a proper license to sell alcohol. So then they were doing that on the side. So they would charge like $100 to $1,000 or some shit for that. And so I was like, yeah. Now it's starting to make a little more sense. So maybe in the way that they break down their business stuff, they would lie, and put it as some business success, something. You guys, I can't explain all that. It's something that would have needed to have their information pulled up, right, and have them go through it. So I was like, yeah, that doesn't make no sense here. So, yeah, no, it's a small little bit. It's like in a little fucking corner of what do you call it? Those little marts. Those little mini malls, those mini mall places where they have like, there's like a little Chinese food place or something. And then there's another thing over here. And then it's just like that. And somehow he's bringing in millions of dollars. And I'm like, all right, because there's only so many people that work here, and there's only so many people that make so much money during the hour per hour and whatever. And I just thought that would be, you got to pay bills and you got to do all these other things. So, I mean, I don't know. But it was saying some bullshit like that. And I was like, that right there. Yeah. And so then, then you have your buddies with those other fucking government pieces of shit that were raping everybody. So that's his pals, the rapists. That's why that was going on. So they were trying to send us out with some fucking rich people and all the shit. And then they were letting them try to rape us on the floor there. And I was like, no, this ain't happening, dude. And the cops were hanging out when they were doing that shit. They came in and they were just like, hey, what's up, baby dolls? I was like, ew, get these fuckers out of here. Yeah, it wasn't even a thing where they were like, oh, we're trying to bust all these people. No. Nopey nope. So, yeah, and so I told them, and so then they're treating me like I'm crazy, and then I had to wait 20 years for them to come out and fucking go, we're a bunch of gang members. I was like, thank you, you fucking motherfuckers. You made me suffer. So they should be all thrown in prison, dude. That shit's fucking bullshit. They're rapists. I was like, that's fucking ridiculous. If they could just sit there and say that 20 years later. That was the whole thing. I told Labor Board, I go, I'm a little scared here because there's some shady ass fucking cops up in here and I can get killed and they think it's a joke. Miss fucking Karen Fundy fundamentalist bitch is sitting there just like, yeah, whatever, we'll just give them your information even though we said we'll keep you anonymous. I'm like, thank you. No wonder I got targeted up the ass. I knew it. I go, there's leaks. I always know when there's a leak. And there was leaks at least 3 times in my stuff. So they could have got me killed at least 3 times from different perpetrators. Yes. Mostly when you're doing gang members. Are you fucking kidding? These are cop gang members, though. The thing is that regardless of what gang it is, they should not be giving out anybody's fucking leaking any information on victims to gang members. So that was the thing, and they were tangoing with some Asian gang members, like some other that thing. So I'm like, luckily I didn't have no beef with those guys. Those guys, I talked to him, so I was like, yeah, blah blah. And so there was kind of a weird thing there, but I was like, yeah, but it wasn't them. I knew it wasn't them, like the stuff that was going on. So I was like, all right, yeah, but they were tangoing, and maybe just for survival, just to deal with it, because they were harassing they were harassing. I know a couple of them because there was some stories on it actually in the media. So that may be the explanation to some of that. I was like, I don't know much about all that other than I witnessed it and I know, and so I was just like, I don't know how you're supposed to take that because you're watching cops like hanging out with some other G boys there, and I'm like, well, that right there, mm-mm, you know. But I'm not in it, so I don't know I don't know why they'd be doing that. With one of them that I didn't even know was involved in that, and the thing where LAPD was like the detective, they were like they didn't even get deep into this thing at all. Okay, so that's another portion of it. So like they knew everybody knew that the other team the celebrity people were targeting me right here, right? So when I went in to talk to them to make sure that I get ruled out as any suspect in some person's death, I was like, I don't know what the fuck happened to this dude. So somebody needs to find him, and it's and so he ends up being alive and all the shit. But the whole thing was kind of weird because the officer is just like, oh, they might just be hiding him from you because these Asians. Oh my god, he got like all like racist and shit. He's like, these Asians, their families, they might be hiding him from you. Like I'm this terrible person or something. I was like, what? They were supposed to actually help me out here in the situation to get away from that job thing because they stopped paying me. So this is right before I went to file, right? And on the labor thing. And no, so what they did was they were actually supposed to help me go there, and then I just got a new job, right? So then I was doing the new job, and then what I was gonna do is stay there for I think they had it on a 6 month, but then they might have done a year. I'm not sure. There was like a questionable thing about that. They're like, you want to do 6 months or just a year? And I was kind of like, I never wanted like the long term thing, but I don't know what they did. But anyway, they set it up like that. And then he lived somewhere else. Like he had his fucking parents' house or some shit. Like they had money. I mean, they weren't like rich, rich, but they had money. I mean, if they're throwing around $20,000 to lose all the time, no, they had some money. They had more money than I did. Way more, way more. So, I don't know where he'd stay, but anyway, I was staying there and I was going to work, and then in the middle of this, my other friend dies and stuff. It's just this bad stuff. But anyway, I was just supposed to save up, and then I was gonna go move into another place afterwards because this place was a little high for what I would normally rent, and then it was like a two-bedroom house, like by myself, and then it's like I'm working all the time. I mean, I'm home, but I'm not home. So then, but anyway, I was just supposed to be that. And then weeks later, the dude goes missing. And I'm like, holy shit, dude, the dude got killed. I was like, the dude got killed. Then, yeah, no, but they said some weird shit to me about it. And I was just like, I don't know where he is. I don't even know what happened. And I'm making sure that I get rolled out because I fucking don't even know where he was. We were on the phone. And then he was supposed to come back. And then he was supposed to pay the rent, right? Do the thing over there. And I'm like, that guy, I was like, that guy's starting to bother me, like this whole thing, because it wasn't supposed to happen that way. I'm like, it's a setup, dude, this whole thing. So, no, I don't know. So then he disappears. And then finally, eventually, I guess it was like a month or something later in, and I'm trying to ward off this other guy. Like, he wouldn't listen that I go, the guy's really missing. Like, the guy didn't even believe me. He thought I was making up a story. I go, literally, I'm dealing with detectives. The guy's literally missing. And the place is under him anyway. So I'm just like, the guy is missing. Like, I'm doing whatever I could to this. And I'm like, holy shit, dude. And then it's putting my life in danger here because now this. But anyway, then the cops allowed that guy to harass me while I'm dealing with the cops. I'm like, I don't even understand this. They were allowing him to harass me at my home and break in my home and shit. And I'm like, no, no, no. So they were all breaking the laws. The cops in it, the fucking guy, everybody. My friend's dead. I can't even go to my friend's funeral. I'm getting threats from my job saying if I go, I'll lose my job. I mean, how fucked up is that? So yeah, there was this whole thing going on. So then they tell me, oh, we found him. He's hiding because he owes money to somebody else. And I kind of had to reflect back when he lost a lot of money, and I go, oh yeah, yeah. I was like, that wasn't his money. He borrowed money and lost it. Wow, that's insane. He's an idiot. Owed the money to, because I had to go around and go to his family and everybody, and I go, I'm pretty sure I'm the last person that talked to him, and I don't want to be that person, because then they're gonna go, how'd you know you're the last person that talked to him? I was like, because I asked everybody, and they said that I was. And so I was like, okay. So she's telling me, it was a woman too. She's like, he called me up. Like, she's like, I lent him $20,000. I'm like, what the fuck? You should be my friend. No, but that's what she said. And she's like, and I'm just thinking, who the fuck will give this guy And then I had to remember that the month prior was my birthday, right? And it was a little bit more. Was it more than a month? Okay, when do you go missing? When, like a month or two, maybe 2 months, like a month and a half prior. We went to Vegas, and he said he lost 20 grand, but he didn't say he borrowed it. Like, that's pretty fucked up, dude. He probably didn't borrow it at the time. He probably went and played, lost a shitload of money, and maybe he called her up and made some fucking fake story. Because they went missing. Like, I didn't even see them. They fucked me over on my birthday, you guys. My friend and him. So I'm sitting there on my birthday, like in Vegas, and my friend's like all being shitty as she always was. And then she goes to her room and goes to sleep or some shit. Goes to bed or something. And then he takes off somewhere with his gambling problem and disappears. And so I just sat on a spin thing, win $1,000. I won $1,000 on my birthday, but I won $1,000. And then, but there was nothing to celebrate. Like, there was nobody with me. And then I think at some point, like, he comes back and then they're just like, oh, happy birthday. And then they leave. And I'm like, how fucked up is this shit? So, yeah, but anyway, he mentioned the 20 grand, and I was like, what? Like, he said he lost 20,000. I'm like, yeah, that didn't sit right. But it was like this hindsight thing, because it was something that happened like a month and a half or 2 months prior. And then she tells me that, and I was like, oh, so he's like hiding, but he didn't need to hide, I guess, because maybe because he couldn't even pay for the rent thing here, right? And then he couldn't pay her, so then he just went hiding. I'm like, you're an asshole, because then what happened was the people tried to get me for the money that he owed. I'm like, oh, no way, dude. This is a total setup. It was a total setup. That guy is like a hot mess. And his parents, it really sucks, because his parents were like these like hardworking people, and I think they owned a company out in this one area, and they were like all normal, right? I don't know what happened to him or what the fuck his bullshit is, but no, like everybody around them, like they weren't poor people at all. They were hard work. Those people were hardworking. The parents were, yeah, definitely. But I questioned like his MO in this, like some of it, because I'm like, I hope to God, like I was thinking about it, because they didn't investigate it further. So I was like, I hope to God it wasn't a purposeful setup on me, because the whole thing was but the thing is that happened before I filed the report, so it just could be, I don't know. They were doing all kinds of shit to me even prior to that. So it was like when I filed the report, I was like scared for my life, and so I was kind of thinking like, okay, you guys need to put me as anonymous, and I need to be far away from that area, and because they're criminals, right? They're underground criminals. Underground criminals. They're not like things that you know about like right off the bat. So I was like, well, I don't know what's going to happen here. So then these targets happened, right? So then the next place I went to, the cop was called, and when he showed up, he changed the story, and I was like, no, I have record that I'm the one that called the cops. He's like, no, the guy that I called on, they said the guy that I called on me. And I'm like, how so? This is my house. This person is being a perpetrator. Like, there was a whole thing to it, because they wouldn't let me out of my house, like out of the property. And no, they came in, they turned the story around, and I'm like, holy shit. I go, nobody can hold me hostage at my house. Like this whole thing. So then he changed the whole report and put it like that. I'm like, the guy doesn't live here. That would be interesting. But then you told the guy he can hold me hostage on my property and you guys left. That's what they did. And so what happened was is I lost $350 at my job because I had a client that came and I was supposed to drive 2 hours away and they made me miss that. And so I missed $350 that day at my job. I had a decent job at that time, didn't I? So that shit right there. And they continued to do this. They let the guy like bust my tire, like he was harassing me, doing all kind. He was a predator, and he had a wife, and she didn't know none of this shit. And yeah, they flipped it around. I was like, yeah. So they started doing this shit, and then I finally show up to court on that. It was like the first time I ever showed up in court for a shit like that. And the female's like, I just don't like you, and then let him break the laws and file wrong. And I'm just like, what? I've never fought a legal case like that ever in my life. Like, I mean, I went in for the Rampart time corruption time thing, and I went in there and I was like, I don't know what y'all be trying to do to me, but you ain't getting no money. I mean, I basically told them that, and so they were trying to get thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars, and they were trying to cover up that they were chasing me all over the fucking place, like 200 times or some shit, like this fucking insane amount. And then they tried to get $1,000 off me in the desert, right? So I'm sitting there like they kept a couple of things up in here. So I went in there. This is the only other case I walked in there with. I don't have a lawyer. I win these guys. I actually won another cop in a different case. So I go in there and I'm just like, I don't know what you're trying to do. I can't fucking pay you. And second, I gotta work, so I can't do shit for you. I'm not gonna be doing no community nothing, and you can fuck off. Like, I didn't say fuck off, but I was like, you can't get blood from a stone, honey, so I don't even know what you're trying to do here. So, but they should have seen what they did, that it was harassment. So eventually they did, I believe. Because then what happened was they're like, okay, you can come back in a couple months. I don't know. They did some shit. So I was like, okay, I'm going to show up again and you're going to get the same answer. So I came back in and then they all of a sudden did some bullshit and they made it disappear. And I was like, oh, that's interesting. But I didn't know about Rampart at the time. I didn't know they were all getting busted. So I was like, I have no idea what the fuck's going on here, but these guys are trying to get thousands and thousands of dollars off me, harassing me, you know? And then there was some other extension to that somewhere else, and they dumped me in the middle of the night. Oh my gosh, this is so terrible. Trying to get me raped and killed, dude. And I didn't commit a crime. This is the horrible thing to it. So they didn't even get busted for this. And they tried to do something additional in that, which I was not privy to. It was a horrible thing, actually. It freaked me the fuck out that they tried to do this shit. But then it came out on a printout, and then they show me it, not them, somebody else. And they said, don't say anything about it. That's scary. Just let it fall off and then blah, blah. And I'm like, never say anything about it. And I'm like, dude, what? So yeah, they were being corrupt as shit. But it was proof. The thing about it was proof that they were harassing me. And then they dumped me in the middle of the night to get raped and killed by somebody in a whole different city from where my house is. And me, I didn't commit a crime. Like, I didn't commit a crime to have that type of thing happen. And so there was a stem off on what they were doing and why that was occurring anyway. It's like the long story. That's like the last half of it, of what they did. So they let somebody take my car, okay, while I was in Sacramento with the other band members, right? That whole thing. And then it tailed off this thing. And then it went to that. So it was a total setup. It was a strategic setup. It was a pretty bad one. And I'm just like, I don't even do anything to anybody. Why is this happening to me? Like, you know, it was so horrible. And so they were targeting me horribly. Somebody took the car. I don't know who took the car, but somebody stole my car. And they took it to a tow yard. So I knew where it was at. It's just that I can't get it out because they wanted to charge me $700 to get my fucking car out. And it was like, I owed, I think I owed like $650 on it or something for my payments to finish off the payments on it. And somebody had just crashed it and I just got a new engine in it. And so I was like, Paying $700 to get the fucking car out after all that, and then pay another 700. Then I paid over 10 grand for the car. Like, this whole thing about it. And I nobody had the right to steal my car, right? Out of my parking space. And so, yeah, and everybody just let it happen. And so I'm like, I don't even know what to do. And then they caused this other situation to happen. So then they started chasing me everywhere. It was like so fucking crazy, dude. I was like, I don't even, this is insane. But yeah, so then they hid that. Then another cop tried that shit with me. Then I went and fought him again. I just walked into the courthouse and I'm like, yep, boom, okay, one, okay, bye. Okay, so yeah, that's why I was like, it's all bullshit, dude. I was like, I don't need a fucking lawyer. As long as you're going in there and being honest. And these guys either A, will try to lie, maybe in court, or B, not show up, or, the judge will figure out that some bullshit's going on here eventually. And then they will go. And so then that pisses them off even more because I'm winning without even trying, right? I mean, I'm trying, but it's not like, I'm sitting there like going in this mass war with them and legaling up and, it's just me walking in going, fuck no, I'm not paying that. It's like that. And then they're losing. Yeah. It's pretty crazy, but the problem with that is that they ignored that they were harassing me. Because you wouldn't have multiple things of the same thing and then you're trying to get money off of the same thing. Like, why are they doing that? And how did they follow me that many times, right? And that was the only ones that were on record. But prior to that, before even that, it was just like, we were estimating maybe 200 times in total from that point to now, 200 times. Can you imagine being stopped 200 times? Really, I was like, after about 50, I kind of just like wasn't counting. Yeah, just for nonsense. And then when they look on record, they're like, we don't even see a damn thing. I go, yeah, so wouldn't that tell you they're all frivolous, right? Because that's quite amazing that you could have that happen and then there's nothing to show for it, right? And nobody's gonna make that up. So, but there was something to go off of, which was that, because it was multiple times. There was at least 4 in a row in that thing. So I was like, that's a lot, isn't it? Why are they doing that? Like it kind of was the door into, oh, some shit's going on over here, right? Yeah. You guys know what I found out? Like in the middle of this, I was like, let me pull up the email again. I realized on one of the emails, the government person knew me at least from 2010. I don't think I just don't believe that they're part of some like they were part of some like major inner thing since 2010 to then go bust them in 2016 and 18 to take over. How stupid is that? I mean, they're pretty bad then if they take that long. I don't know, you guys. I don't believe so because in 2010 was around the time that I reported the original thing and talked to possibly an agent. It's somewhere in that period of time right there, right? Then I went over to this therapy thing, right? And then the find out that LAPD was part of it, right? Who are part of the corruption in this, right? The getting me raped, the covering up, the whole shebang, right? And bullying me and targeting me to everywhere to China, okay? Um, and they're sitting there okaying this conduct. And when I made a call, like I said, one of the officers in actually Canoga Park, pulls up some shit, dude, on his fucking computer, and he's like, were you ever a suspect? I'm like, suspect for fucking what? And then he's like, oh, that must have been an accident because, or he said, oh, they made the name, maybe they confused it, or, I confused it, maybe it's a different, I don't know. He started just like jumbling his shit. And I'm like, oh, no, 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 no. So that needs to be pulled up as to what the fuck he's talking about. Because he like literally backtracked. Like you went all the way over here. And I'm like, oh no, that's important to know because if they put some fake ash, it would be fake. It would be fake, you guys. some fake ass shit onto their computer to have people come and target me in their gang member crowd. Yes, because that's not how that goes. If I was a suspect to anything, they would have just pulled me in and it would have been bullshit, you know? Because I deal with them and I literally, yeah, they keep coming to me. Like they came to me actually in 2010. 10, I believe it was 10 or 11. The agents came to my door and they busted, they pounded on my window, and then they flipped these badges, these detectives and shit. And they're like, we want some information on these fucking assholes, next door, that whole thing. And then they're the ones that started the racist talk. It wasn't me, dude, because like I didn't even understand what the fuck they were going on about. They're like, oh, these fucking what do they say, these what are they called, oh, these gypsy, we have a damn gypsy problem out fucking here. I'm like, what are you talking about? Anyway, so they started going on this like sort of like racial thing on gypsies and whatever, and I was like, I'm totally all clueless. And so I go to Twitter and I'm like, they're fucking talking, I don't know, what's this gypsy thing, they're telling me something about gypsy thing. And I noticed some people kind of got mad. It was all weird. And I was like, I don't know, but the neighbors are a bunch of assholes. And so anyway, they were like wanted from up north. And so, but I didn't know, like, even to this day, I've never even heard of that, right? Like, we're still, like, we have a major gypsy problem. I'm like, what are you talking about? Anyway, yeah, the detective said that. So it's kind of important to know, like, their bullshit on the inside. I'm just like, yeah, I was like, take them away, dude. They're trying to take my fucking washing machine and my fucking driveway here and my fucking life, And so, yeah, no, they were just big time criminals. So I was like, yeah, here, take them, go. Like that was the only time, like, I was just like thinking, like, I'm gonna comply because I want them the fuck out of here because they were trying to take over my space, my whole fucking house. I have my own house. I have my own house with my own driveway and my own washing machine, and I let people use it, and fucking she's like trying to take that and my driveway, everything. I was like, that's insane. Like, she's a sociopath, like her and her man. So yeah, but no, they were wanted for like probably like grand theft or something, some shit like that. I was like, oh, I'm shocked. No, I was like, get him out of here. It's kind of like that. But they, no, like they will talk to me. So like, I was like, that doesn't make any sense. Because if they thought I did some shit, they'd be like, we're gonna question you up in here. And you guys seen those videos where they pull you in and they're like fucking talking to you. They think you did some shit, right? I was like, would they sit there and think that and then not even talk to me ever or tell me that? That doesn't make sense. But I was trying to explain the way that they were acting though was like I was a suspect. That was a different thing. I was like, but then when they pull me over, it's a different thing, right? It's not you're a suspect. It turns into, do you have like $1,000 on you right now in the fucking desert? We're gonna write this number down. 900 and like 89.99. Seriously, it was like a number like that. It was like 900 and 98. So I don't know, some bullshit like that, right? It was closest to $1,000. They're like, you have this. They just write it down. They're like, they didn't verbally say it. They're like, give me a minute. They hand over this paper. He's like, you pay that and you could be on your way, lady. I was like, oh hell no. I'm paying none of that shit, fool. So, yeah, and then it turned into, this is gonna be forever. We're gonna start charging you 2,000. You're gonna owe us double that, girl. We're gonna chase you down forever. It's forever. That's what they said. They're like, it's forever. And I was like, holy crap, what shit fucking cult crap is this I'm in? No, but the hot minute that government get that fucking information, they need to go make arrest. It's not no, because I got sexually harmed in that thing. You fucking tell me take my top off. Like, that shit taking a photo. The thing I'm mad about it is because I had my, my pass info with the celebrity, like, right before it. Like, just 4 hours prior, right? So, that's why I thought they did it because they thought I had money because I was with that team right there. Because I was like, who the hell fucking runs around? You're talking about the mid 90s, you guys, like 96 or 97, I think it was, yeah. I was like, did you guys run around with just $1,000 of cash just all over you? I mean, I was on a trip, but I don't recall. The only time I've ever had like more money like that on me without it being in the bank or something is like me coming back from Vegas and winning money. But that particular night, I didn't. I don't even recall playing fucking games that night. Surprisingly, I don't know if maybe I did a couple of things and then left, but there was no. I don't recall anything like that because I think I would remember that I won. Oh, I won another $1,000, which I always win. That's like the normal number I always won in Vegas, $1,000, and then like they seriously had some type of odds of like if you had $100 and you went to play. Usually when you start to hit around $70 to $80 of your money, you win $1,000. It was totally that way all the time. But I don't think I don't know. I think I just wanted to get the hell out of there on that particular. Yeah, because I was gonna, if I drove at that time, I was gonna be in my hometown at 8 in the morning. And I was like, okay, I gotta drive that whole time and be up until 8 in the morning. I was like, I could do that at that time. And yeah. And then it turned out to be I wasn't there till the next fucking day, and these guys were chasing me and wanting money, and yeah, no, that wasn't good. That was not even funny. Yeah, but no, there should have been arrests made, definitely. So then what I found out was in that thing was there was officers from there that were originally born and raised in California, so there was some sort of connection between that department there and here in California. So that much I know. And they were still working there. And I was like, what? I don't know about right this minute, but just a couple years ago when I was doing the investigation thing on that, still, because there's so many in this, I mean, again, it wasn't just LAPD. It was like there's that over there. There's the Rancho area I could really go after for the bullshit and not making arrest of that other bullshit. But I don't feel that that was related to this bigger thing of shit going on. So I just kind of let that one slide. It doesn't seem related on any level. It's not like they were chasing me around or something. The only ridiculous thing that they did was they jumped me from the freeway to a fucking lot when they were well aware that there was a serial killer on the loose. And I'm like, they're like, we gotta take you off here because there's a serial killer out here. So then they just dumped me in a lot in the middle of the night. I'm like, that was better? I mean, I don't see how that's better. And who was the serial killer? Because we didn't find that one.